This one is for the people who have been waiting for the Gorosei to finally stop the broadcast. Oda decided that it was finally over. It was finally enough. The Gorosei have been taking straight up L's for too long, and it's time for things to start going their way. Too long have things been messing up for the Gorosei, or rulers of the world government, and now that they finally found the true source of Vegapunk's broadcast, the elders of the world government can finally do what they all came to Egghead Island for. That is, to stop Vegapunk from telling the truth to the whole world. Well, let's just say that it wasn't one of their best works. As we've all seen from the previous chapters, the Gorosei have failed amazingly in stopping Vegapunk's broadcast. The mad scientists did play them like they were a bunch of kids, and even now, when they finally figured out where the broadcast was coming from all along, they're too late, since Vegapunk had already caused irreversible damage to their reputation. I feel like even the Gorosei are in for a scolding when they report back to Imu. But that is not all that happened in chapter 1117. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the latest chapter of One Piece. We continue right where we left off in the last chapter, well, close enough to where that it doesn't even matter, because last chapter, the Gorosei finally found out where the broadcast was coming from. That's right, the old geezers finally figured it out. And it took them, what, like 5 to 10 chapters? And even then, they didn't figure it out themselves. The elders of the world government, arguably some of the strongest people in the world, needed help from York. That's right, they needed one of the Vegapunks to figure out just where Vegapunk had to place the transponder snail for the broadcast. Just imagine that. But we'll get more into that later on. For now, we return to Vegapunk's broadcast being listened to all around the world, with some old and beloved characters finally showing their faces in the manga once more. We get to see some of the sword members resting in their beds and reacting to Vegapunk's broadcast as well. Will we be getting to see more of them now that One Piece has finally entered the final saga? Now, we cut back to Vegapunk continuing his broadcast. It feels like he's just about reached the end and is now in the final stretch of explaining himself. Just what more does the mad scientist have to say? Even people around the world want to know the truth about the world. And it looks like we're not the only ones who want to find out the truth, huh? But it looks like we will have to wait for a bit now, since Oda finally brings us back to our beloved crew, or at least a part of the crew, with Nami and the rest of the squad finally ready to escape, and the only thing left is for Jinbei and Zoro to join them. And a majority of the Straw Hats will finally be able to leave the Egghead Island. Hopefully, Edison's hard work and sacrifice will pay off. But it looks like Oda might have different plans for the crew, since Jinbei and Zoro are now chasing a very angry and powered up Nusjuro to the Thousand Sunny. Is the sword-bearing Gorosei going to slash through the Straw Hat ship? The Straw Hats need to escape right now. Nusjuro charges up another attack just like the one that split up the whole cloud open underneath Labo Phase. It looks like it's game over for the Straw Hats, but Jinbei and Zoro clutch up to save the crew in the nick of time. What a scene. Jinbei tosses Zoro right in the face of Nusjuro. And what is this? Did Zoro create a new attack just to stop the terrifying monster that is Nusjuro? Black lightning and fire go everywhere as Zoro stops Nusjuro's attack in the nick of time. And Zoro recognizes Nusjuro's sword. After all, what kind of swordsman will he be if he didn't recognize one of the strongest swords in the whole world? It looks like the Shodai Kitetsu has finally been found, and it's been found in the worst place imaginable, right in the hands of one of the greatest enemies of the Straw Hat Pirates. Will we be getting to see a showdown between Nusjuro and Zoro? Is there even enough time for Zoro and the Gorosei to square up? Or is this Oda setting up a future fight, one where we will finally get to see Zoro face down Nusjuro and take his sword once he's defeated? After all, that is the only way I can imagine Zoro getting that sword. And there's no way he's not getting this, right? On the other side of Egghead, it looks like even Luffy and the Giants are getting ready to escape, since there's no way they can hold back the Gorosei, even with Luffy's Gear 5th form and the power of the Giants. I somehow doubt that the rest of the Gorosei can be held back. They aren't the strongest people in the world for nothing, you know. And it looks like Luffy has finally returned to his normal form, but why did he just stop using Gear 5? Did the captain of the Straw Hats ran out of stamina again? Just what is happening? Well, it doesn't matter because even the Giants are ready to make a retreat, but nothing is going the way they want now, is it? It's not like our beloved crew can go anywhere without getting into trouble. It looks like even the Vice Admirals are getting their time to shine today. The Gorosei can't take all the spotlight now, can they? Even their subordinates need to show off now and then, Dory and Brogy command all the giants to get ready to leave, but the vice admirals are there to stop them and put up one heck of a fight. No one in the Marines want the Straw Hats to escape Egghead Island, even if they don't realize how important it is. The Marines know that the Straw Hats and the giants cannot be allowed to leave Egghead Island alive, and just the amount of respect and control the world government and the Marines still have just goes to show you how deep the corruption goes. But where did all the Gorosei go? Up until the previous chapter, all of the Gorosei were hot on the trail of the Straw Hats and were trying their best to defeat them. Even Luffy and the giants were holding back both Valkyrie and Jupiter by themselves. But it looks like the chase is over. But how could something that big just disappear? Well, for that, we have to look no further. Remember how in the last chapter, York finally figured out that Vegapunk had hidden the Dendenmushi in the Iron Giant? Well, that is exactly where the Gorosei all went. In one of the most terrifying panels of the whole arc, we see 4 out of the 5 Gorosei showing up right behind the near indestructible Iron Giant. There's no way that the Iron Giant is getting out of this one without a scratch. But for one last time, we cut back to Vegapunk's broadcast and get ready for what the mad scientist is about to say, because these very well might be the last time we hear from Vegapunk ever. One last message from the smartest man in the world. Let's see what he has to say. A final message for the people with the initial D. Just what could this message be? And how does Mars recognize the Iron Giant? Did it attack Nusjuro 200 years ago? Because that is exactly what was said. And just why are we finding out about this only now? Well, it's because he was trying to hide it from you guys all this time. Moving on, Vegapunk is finally about to reveal something to those with the letter D in their names. We see reactions from people around the world, including the infamous Monkey D. Dragon and Sabo, the adopted brother of Luffy, and even Marshall D. Teach, one of the biggest enemies of the Straw Hats. How are all of these people connected, and why mention them only now? But this is where it ends sadly. Valkyrie finally lands a hit on the Iron Giant and sends it flying in the air, and the broadcast finally comes to an abrupt end. The Gorosei have finally succeeded in their mission to stop Vegapunk, but will they be able to recover from the damage done? Or will the world finally take up arms against the government and stand against them? Unfortunately, that is all the chapter has. Oda ends the chapter with another cliffhanger. But what an amazing chapter. Vegapunk's broadcast has finally ended, but we got cut off before we heard about why the people with a D in their name were so important. Just what did Vegapunk want to tell us? I guess we'll have to wait to find out. What an amazing chapter. Oda intended on Egghead arc being one of the best arcs in the whole of One Piece, and it shows. With reveal after reveal and crazy moments after crazy moments, there's no way this arc is one of the best in the entirety of One Piece. But from the looks of it, Egghead's arc might be finally coming to a close, since the Gorosei have all left to find and destroy the Iron Giant. There's no one left on the main island to stop the Straw Hats from escaping now. I know Nusjuro is still there, but just how many people can he stop at once? And Zoro already stopped one of his attacks, so we know that Nusjuro can be held back if needed. So that is a W for Zoro. The Straw Hats might be going home safer after all. It looks like luck was on the side of the Straw Hats this time around, since I doubt they will be able to escape if all the Gorosei didn't go immediately to destroy the Iron Giant. But the real thing that happened in this chapter wasn't the Gorosei finally making their way to the Iron Giant. It was the major reveal that Vegapunk was about to make. It was about the details. Now, we know that Vegapunk has talked about some pretty crazy stuff in his broadcast, from finally mentioning the Void Century and talking about the legendary Nika to announcing that the world is going to sink. Everything that Vegapunk has talked about has set the stage for the final arc of One Piece, but the mad scientist got cut off before he could get his final words out. The people with the initial D have always been a mystery in the world of One Piece. From the enigmatic king of the pirates, Goldie Roger, the queen of Arabasta, Nefertari D. Lily, and even the captain of the beloved Straw Hats, Monkey D. Luffy, all of these people are somehow connected. But why will their initial make them different from everybody else? Just what is the story behind the mysterious D clan, and how are they connected to the Void 13th century. But with Vegapunk's broadcast now interrupted, and I assume the interruption is now permanent, will we ever get to hear about this, or will Vegapunk's final words be lost to history? Surely the smartest man in the world must have thought of a backup plan while planning of all of this. Surely there's some way to restart the broadcast, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out in the next chapter. Oda has us all on the edge of our seats with these chapters, and it looks like the finale of the Egghead arc is not as far as we might think. Will the truth about the initial D finally be revealed, and will the Straw Hats be able to escape Egghead Island? We'll have to find out in the next chapter, and we'll have to wait and see what Oda cooks up. Until the next time, it is your boy setting sail and signing out. Peace.